and welcome to the 35th Keen Minds podcast, where we're covering the 21st and 22nd episode of NBC's The Blacklist, which was Mr. Kaplan Part 1, or Mr. Kaplan and Mr. Kaplan The Conclusion. I'm Jen, aka Takata Cycle.
And I am Tessa, and I have a blog called Criminally Sane. And what an episode this was.
Oh, I still think I'm going to start a rewatch relatively soon. I haven't decided yet if it's just going to be For and Redemption or if it's going to be a complete season rewatch. It needs to be a complete season rewatch. I just don't know if it will be. It's going to be a long summer. I probably should be a complete season rewatch.
I am going to do them all over again. In fact, my plan is to rewatch. I'm not going to be very active on the blog, except for new theories, but I'm going to rewatch first season 4, and then I'm going to rewatch the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm still deciding, but regardless, I have a feeling that things are going to keep shifting and changing, and I have a new writing project I'm about to embark on as soon as I finish. I'm at the tail end of my my AU Hargrave Drabbles series that I've been working on for anybody that follows that, and I've got a new summer project I have planned. I have a couple scenes jotted down, some notes, and I have to make a big decision on whose bones I think those are before I'm able to really get started.
Oh, yeah, the bones.
Because that's the one thing I had no idea about, and I was like, okay, this finale's gonna really see where I'm going, which direction I'm going with that, because the project's meant to figure out where Redemption's going, and I knew that the main show was gonna come into it, but now that's the zinger I'm still undecided on.
It was definitely... It's actually my third favorite episode. I think my first will always be of a special place in my heart with the first one, with the
pilot,
with Rank. Yeah, well, I always call it Ranko Zamani, and then the Kate May, just because Kate May was very rich in mythology and superbly acted. But this one is definitely. This is the third. This is I had the director, but this one just, my God, it was awesome.
I've liked it more and more. I've done a couple rewatches now, so I think I've watched it 3 times fully through. And I was joking with someone today. I said, I think that I haven't quite worked through my Kate Kaplan feelings yet, because I was so angry at her after what she did with Ress and the route she went. But I love Kate. She has always been one of my favorites of Red's team. And I'm very fond of his team in general. I mean, it just, like, there are none of his close-knit team with Baz, Dembe, Brimley, Kate, any of those, like, they're all just utterly fantastic. But I think Kate's always had a very special place in my heart. And to lose her in the finale, I mean, I knew it was probably coming. I still haven't quite worked through all of that, I don't think, emotionally.
It was a
hurt.
Spectacular scene, and Susan Blumhardt killed it.
Oh, that woman. She will be so dearly missed.
Oh my God, what a way to go out with a splash.
Yeah, really? You had to go there.
I had to go there. Come on, that was just begging the... It was just an amazing episode. I loved how, true to the promise, and I always say, go back to the character, to the promo pictures of the episode of the season, because they tell the arc of the season. And, we got a little deranged in season 3 because of the pregnancy, the real life pregnancy, which kind of forced things that I felt would have been here in this season, force them into season 3. So we kind of have a kind of a swap of the seasons. But if you look at the season 3, they kind of happened during the season 4. And then we have, in this season, we had Red, like the face was coming off, like we were peeling pieces of the mask.
Yeah,
and seeing the real man underneath. And this episode truly, we went behind the magicians. Like I said before, it was a magician. It was a trick. We were seeing the colors and the cape and the hat and the rabbits coming out of the hat. And hello, here we have the rabbits. The symbology, the semiotics of this episode were absolutely terrific.
But don't stew the rabbits because he likes the tickle in his
little
throat.
tickle, exactly. She likes a tickle. Yeah. Of course she has to be a female. Yeah.
Leave it to Brimley.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he likes his pets. I mean, the camel, the boa constrictor.
It wasn't a camel. It was a llama.
Oh, it was a llama. Okay. Sorry. Yes, the llama spit, which is terrible, and it's terrific way in which we have gone beyond the show to the dress rehearsal to now seeing how the magician actually does the trick. This is the man beneath the mask, and you see how he scrambles, how he bluffs his way through things, how he's never too sure of things despite of what he says.
What about that opening? I mean, and granted, we'll get to Red in depth, but what about that opening to to episode 21, where he's sitting there, he's making a deal with a terrorist. That's certainly what it's alluded to when he says, I don't like your dirty little war. I mean, so you assume with all the clues there that he's selling weapons of some sort to terrorists, which, by the way, just another hint, Red is not a good guy, not in the traditional sense. He does very bad things. He is a villain to an extent, even if in the process of our show, he's an anti-hero. He does horrible things to further his criminal empire. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Well, selling anything to terrorists is always a bad thing, but I think that was kind of a reminder that Red is not above doing horrible things. We always see a much lighter
side of him, yeah.
Yeah, because
it's the act. It's the magician with the people in the auditory and the color smoke, and it kind of takes part of that rough edge that Red has, that because Red is like a diamond, and a diamond's caught hard. Diamonds, they caught, and
he does what he has to survive. But what I found so interesting about that scene was how smooth he was, how completely chilled and unruffled he was, as this man is screaming at him that he's gonna kill him, waving his gun in the air, and he's like, the shipment's coming, but if you don't put your gun back in your pants, you're not getting anything. He's just completely unfazed, even though you know under that mask, he's probably going, what the hell is happening here? Because he knows. Don't
tell me this thing is also...
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking, if one account of Red held 200 million and they disappear, I imagine that by now Red is down to almost nothing.
Well, he made the comment to Kaplan in one of the episodes. He said, you've taken everything from me but the hat on my head. I mean, he is down to bare bones right now. Did you see the motel he was staying in? I mean, this is Raymond Reddington. He's a high-class man. While he can stay in a, backwater sort of little situation, I don't think he prefers to. I mean, no. He likes his glass of scotch. He likes his finely tailored suits. He likes his nice hotels. He likes his private jet. By the way, is anybody else worried about Edward? Because I've been worried about Edward.
Oh, Edward is a goner. Or else, but being Raymond Reddington's pilot, I imagine that Red always gave him something to protect himself. Like, well, how about if you give them this and that will be your way out?
Or maybe he left the plane unattended because of this. Maybe when Red disembarked the plane, he said, go stay at such and such hotel, and if you don't hear from me from so-and-so, here's an ID, flee the country. That's what I'm going to hope, because Red does take care of his own, for the most part. I mean, like, if they're loyal, he takes care of his own.
And he knew what was going to happen. He knew that thing had one outcome.
There we go. Here's my headcanon.
He went there to kill this guy. he had hoping to avoid it, but at that time it was unavoidable. It was only one of them could survive, so he did what he had to do.
Yeah.
Um.
So, getting into the characters, because like I said, we can get into Red. I've got Red at the end of our list because we're so much with him, and Red and Liz and Kate, they just so intermingled in this episode, of course, like they have for multiple episodes now.
I want to start by referring to Panna Baker. Man, Cynthia was hard.
My God.
Yeah,
you know, don't screw with Southerners, okay?
As a Southerner. I don't know. I have no idea how you're gonna do it, but you were counting on my help.
Yeah, I kind of got the same. I'm just sitting there going, seriously, like, these guys have been busting their butts to do their job for their country, doing what you people have said that they have permission to do.
Just like Red.
And suddenly, because it's a PR fiasco, you're throwing them under the bus? What the hell is wrong with you? I was so mad at her.
And that is, I think that was lesson. That was the first hard lesson for the entire task force into the world of Red.
I did think of you during Cooper's response to her. He says, "Where are we going to go to regain our reputations?" I loved that line, by the way. Mm-hmm. But I thought of you and your theory about people shifting over to Halcyon at the end of this. Because that would be an interesting twist if that's kind of how they regain their reputations, since they all went private. Yeah. I mean, I think Cooper would probably retire. You know, he could be a consultant or something. Poor man. Give him and his wife a chance to rekindle.
Well, that I think is where you have seen this, and this is an interesting thing. It's a kind of a passing of the baton, as if you must, of Ressler has now joined firmly the gray. He even is getting his picture taken in that cement hallway, this narrow cement hallway where Red people live. And I called that one. As soon as I saw that picture and saw what this thing was going with Hitchens, I said, he's going to do something bad.
Both of us have been calling that since 3A or since 4A with Hitchen. Because, I mean, the fact that they went out of their way in Esteban to say, you know, for him to pop off at her and to, you know, just the situation. Was it Esteban? It was one of the early 4A episodes.
You did it, and I know, and he kept poking at her.
Yeah, he kept prodding the sleeping bear there, and she is she was such an obnoxious character.
She was a delectable villain.
She was.
I loved her.
The actress, I'm blanking on the actress's name, but she was fan-frickin-tastic at it.
Christine Latke?
Yeah, I think that was it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that she was, you know, terrible, horrible, like, I hated the character as in the actress.
She was delightful.
She was a villain you love to hate. And, like, every time she came on screen, I loved it, but I also was like, Ressler, something horrible is gonna happen, don't do the thing!
He did, and I knew it. I did my little dance there. You know what? Everybody was freaking out. I was doing my little dance. Yeah. Like, I knew it. It was a very vocal episode. I'm sure my squeals and my little victory dances were heard around the globe.
The roomie and I actually scared the cat to the point she had to go and cuddle on him a little when the whole Saram kiss happened. Like, in unison, we screeched.
Of course you would go for
like,
that
and
one.
like, happy squealing. Like, I mean, I'm surprised we didn't shatter windows.
Yeah, I was squealing about different things, but I definitely squeal with when Hitchens died. But in relation to Panna Baker, man, that woman was cold. I loved her.
See, I mean,
I loved her. She was great.
Really? Because, like, I'm sitting there going, lady, they have been doing their jobs for their country. Like, how are they supposed to have any trust in their government at this point?
I loved her because it's giving a nice entry into some parts of my theories. And it's like, this 2 episodes for me felt like Oh yeah, I'm getting all my theories lined up, and they're all coming like little ducks in rows, and they're all lining so pretty. And I had a moment of doubt when the bones happened until I examined the situation and said, no, they're okay. I'm good. So my victory dance was pretty extensive. I'm actually sure I missed most of Saram Kiss because of my victory dance.
Yeah, I didn't. By the way, I know this from gifting it. It was nearly a 10-second long kiss. Just saying. I mean, those two.
Yeah.
For on-screen airtime, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yep, it was.
It was nice. Anyway, we can get into that with Saram and Aram and Samar.
So
Saram.
we are going now into.
Let's go into Cooper. So Harold Cooper. We already mentioned the comment about where we're going to go to get our reputations back. And I love that the episodes opened with a lot of that. And so it's almost like, you remember in season 2 when he thought he was dying and he walked into the interrogation room with that guy and he was like, I'm dying. I have nothing to lose. I just cut the feeds and I can do whatever the hell I want to you because I'm dying and my team comes first. And I feel like that's kind of where he is now. He's like, my reputation, everything I have ever cared about is about to be thrown away, potentially, because of what we've been doing, what we were told to do. And so he takes that moment to go, okay, so what do I need to do personally? What is something that, if I'm already going to be in trouble, and it doesn't matter, what do I need to do on a personal level? And it was go through and run that test for Liz. He said, I should have done this the moment that he walked in the door and brought you in.
Okay, I have a very, very different approach to that. Not in a contradiction to that, but I'm looking at it from a very different point of view. Into
and
Cooper's,
we too, which makes this makes this podcast interesting.
Yay!
And by the way, for anybody that's tuning in for the first time, Tessa runs this from a very
theoretical point of view.
A very theoretical, and I am more of a character analysis. And so we do come at things from a very different approach, and sometimes that leads us to very different spots. Not because we necessarily disagree with each other, and sometimes we do. Sometimes we just straight up disagree with each other, and that's fine. We can disagree without hating each other.
Ain't that amazing? We must be a rarity. A dying breed.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
But the way I looked at that is like I noticed, because at first I thought he wants to do something for Liz, but then I realized, and I looked, and I always say to people who follow me or to listen to me here, the words matter tremendously, because people have a human tendency to hear words, interpret them, and then go on from there on from that interpretation. And I always say, no, go back to the words, not your interpretation of them, because your interpretation will kind of ebb and flow as you get more information, whether the actual words are the actual words. And he says to Liz, you will know whether Red is your father, which led me to believe, because I've been watching Cooper very intently. Cooper is a very interesting character. Harry Lennox is doing a terrific job. Even though he's a character that exists, it's not the central one of the show. To me, it is still a fundamental character, because he's one that knows Red from the beginning. And that makes him very interesting.
And I did make the comment that I live blogged the night of the episode. I just knew that it was going to happen, because I haven't live blogged in several episodes, I don't think. But I took my computer into the living room Thursday night, because I was like, this is going to happen. And I made the comment on Tumblr. I said, Tessa called it. Red and Cooper have worked together. And you have been calling that for quite a while now.
Yeah.
That they had prior history. And I think I disagreed, best I remember, that I didn't think that was true. So kudos. Tessa called it.
That was another, I tell you, that we're like victory dances throughout the episode. And one of the things that I was so sure about is because when you rewatch episode 101, you realize there is a little smile in Cooper here, and there is that little smile when Red is teaching Liz to think like a criminal, and Cooper is looking at them, and you know that he knows what the relationship is. He knows who Liz Skin is. And the moment that Red surrendered and spoke, asked the man to speak only with Elizabeth Kin, and Ressler asked, "Who the hell is Elizabeth Kin?" Cooper gives a little like side glance, and I knew it. I knew it. It was like right there. That's a beauty when you have a script that will support that kind of actor, and that those little acting choices are fully supported by the actor. They're terrific. And that, I've been knowing that. And it's like the way Red asked about the wife. It's like, that there is a history there. They didn't just quite pass along on the road in Kuwait.
See, I didn't get the impression during the episode or anything like that Red knew prior to the blood test there, the DNA test, that they were actually related. I don't disagree. I think it could be possible either way, but I like I said, the big thing that I noticed was that he does have a history with him, like you just said. He has a history with him, and everything you just said sums it up. It's shown, and there was a respect there from early on, even if they didn't like each other. There were a strange sort of respect. I don't know. It's hard to describe because they mocked each other, but there was still an underlying respect.
Yeah. It's you know what? It's in a way both were Navy, both were intelligence. So their game in their friendship is tinted with that, not super everything out there, but kind of like, I'm going to walk my way around because I know that there are things you can't say and there are things that I can't say. So you kind of have to read me and I'll have to read you. I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm exhausted from that episode. I feel like I've been like building up all these theories, and then finally, like, the dogs started to go in the row, and I'm like, oh, finally, I'm getting things right. I'm reading them correctly. I'm sure the next season they will slash and smash a few of them. But hey, for now, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, I was left with this, I need to know more now. Like, the 4 months, I suppose, it usually is. 3.5, 4 months of summer hiatus is always killer. And I tend to do my traveling at least for a little bit during the summer. So, like, I always feel like it's broken up. Last year I actually did 2 weeks, or like 2.5 weeks worth of travel. And so, like, there was actually some breakup to the summer and other things to do. And I'm not in school anymore. I just work, and so I'm just looking at it and going, all there is a continuation. Like, I'm just there's no blacklist. What am I supposed to do with my summer? I go to work, I come home, I sleep.
Yeah. Well,
I'll still be online. I'll still be writing.
In this thing, you can actually go and look at that first episode now. Now that you've seen 422 and that you've seen and that you've heard my theory, go back to 101 and tell me whether you think that Cooper didn't know.
Okay, you're twisting my arm here. I'm going to have to do an entire series rewatch. Come on.
I know. I'm a terrible person.
Why do you do this to me?
Because I told you that my favorite character is Raymond Reddington. Twisting arms comes easily.
That's fair. Just don't pull the gun to my head. We'll be okay. Because my favorite character's Tom, and you might pull the trigger.
Yeah, I know. He's my second.
Now with where they stand.
So, Cooper, he says also, you will finally know, not we will finally know. And I think that that's an interesting thing because he points out that he knows. He just needed to get that thing to Liz. And the reason he hadn't done it is because he was respecting Red's right to tell his daughter at the time that he felt it was convenient.
See, I came at it from a little bit different perspective. That phrasing, yes, I thought it meant something, but I felt like, because he best I remember, he delivered that envelope unopened.
Yes,
And so, and so
he wasn't
by
expecting to share the result
yeah,
with her.
exactly. And so by you will know what's going on. It's like if you want to tell the team, you have the right to tell the team, but you don't have the responsibility or the expectation to tell the team. That she is welcome to keep that to herself. And that's kind of where I come from it. But saying that, I can completely see your side of it, and either one could be correct.
So, should we continue with?
Let's go into Aram, which will also go into Janet, wow, into Janet and to Samar. Okay, so starting in on Aram, and his loyalty, like the epicness of his loyalty, just gave me all the best feelings in the world. It was Aram to the T, because yes, he likes to follow certain rules and he's uncomfortable straight up breaking the law, but when it comes down to it, he's willing to go to prison to protect his friends. And that's not a question. It's like, why would I don't want immunity. I'm going to stand there with them. It's amazing. And you know, if anybody ever questions he's part of the team, if anybody ever questions he's part of the team, this right here, he is part of the team. Just because he doesn't go out into the field with them,
I've always said
amazing.
He's a badass in his own different way. Yes, he may have cried banana. He's not exactly trained in combat, but he's a badass and he's a brave man. And for Raymond Reddington to strike a friendship with Aram the way he did, and when he saved Liz, he went against what Reddington asked him to save Liz, and that takes bravery.
Oh, it does.
He pointed a gun at the director in sweater vest. He's done great things, and this was furthermore the proof of Aram coming a long way from the episode where he had to, from 110, where he had to go into psychiatric evaluations and write a diary because he has shot a terrorist, a guy who went in there killing people.
Well, the lady that was interrogating him, because it was an interrogation that they were in the middle of. She was angry. I don't know what her deal was, but and I have no idea. I've never been subpoenaed. I have no idea what that's like. But she just seemed very angry and very forceful on everything. And maybe she was trying to scare him, because Ram he's a babbler. He gets nervous, he babbles. And gotta love him for it, but
that was great. He used the babbles. This time he basically, what he did was a filibuster.
I would vote for Aram any day of the week.
He was running a filibuster with babbling, and I don't know, and I'm doing it. I'm like, I mean, it was wonderful, because even though Janet kind of walked into going in there, and he's like, it's a bad idea. At the end, he stands for what he believes, and I believe that has been the case of Aram since the moment he's gone on screen. Well, he's never changed. He's been more scared, less scared, and he had found within himself, he's always had his own moral center. He's never been like Ressler, the Boy Scout. He's always known that there are things that may be legal, but they're not right, and there are things that are not legal, but they're right. Yeah. And I think that distinction, it's what makes him. And if you look at my theory of the promo pictures, Aram has a picture in the Great Corridor. Yeah, he's not just in that void.
Well, he's a hacker. He almost has to. I mean, even if it's ethical hacking that he does, he is aware. I mean, it's kind of like Dumont from Redemption.
Oh, I want to bring Dumont here. That would be awesome.
Dumont and Aram. No, but it's kind of like Dumont from Redemption, in which he was like, yeah, I know people from those circles. And so if I mean, granted he was related to them, but Aram knows some other hackers that probably don't have quite as strong of a moral compass as he does.
Oh yeah, remember when he went undercover in The Architect and he said, no, you need somebody who can speak the world, who can speak the language, who will not stand out like a sore thumb. And I think that's exactly what this episode kind of like brought this all back. And at the end, we're getting this epic Aram saying, I will go to jail, but I'm not giving up. I'm not writing people up. And you cannot force me to do that.
And
you cannot take my right not to self-incriminate.
And I loved that. And because I just love that so much. It's like, these are I can't.
And we know that this is all going to come back sometime. This is. I mean, we know that this is both at the same time a summation of the 4 seasons, but at the same time, that this is at the same time a setup for the next part.
Yes.
It was awesome. He was awesome. Let's talk about Janet.
I was about to say, Janet. I like Janet. I do. I don't.
She's a great character.
A lot of Saram fans are not fond of Janet for obvious reasons. I am a huge Saram shipper, yet I was fond of Janet. She's snarky. It's a honey trap that went wrong, that she fell for the mark. Blacklist, I think it was Blacklister 214 that said it best over on Tumblr. She said the issue is, because I put up a parallel the other day of Tom because I've seen a lot of parallels trying to be drawn between Janet and Tom, and the Keen Squared and I don't know what you would call Aram and Janet.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not the same. It's a relationship.
But the issue was that Blacklister said, she said, Janet and Aram were not in love, and that's the difference. But the parallel that I drew the other day after the episode was Tom from season 2 in the Tom Keen episode where he said, I don't care what happens to me, I'm here for her. And Janet from this last episode where she goes, I didn't think I had a choice. It was
about me.
I'm sorry they were going to take my deal away. I didn't have a choice. And it also draws back to this beautiful thing, which just highlights Saram in all of its glory. I know, I'm showing my shipper colors. I really don't care. But Janet told Samar a few episodes ago, she said, well, you just don't understand Aram. You're jealous because I know Aram better and you don't. And it was just kind of like this ha ha ha, And Samar's just looking at her like, you're crazy. And yet, in this episode, Janet thought she knew Aram. I mean, because you could see it in her face. She thought he was going to walk in there, sell his people out, and they were going to pull some Task Force voodoo magic and be able to skim free on the other side. Because as soon as Samar walked in, she goes, oh, good, you're here. You can get him out. She just thinks that they can pull any strings that they want and get it done.
Yeah, so, I also think it's interesting because, when they went by some reason, so either was Kaplan who told him who to go after, or Gale somehow found out how on earth did they find out about Aram, the one that is not in the field? Because remember, Gale went to the field and saw them in the woods. So Samar, so Ressler.
Well, it was Janet.
How on earth did they get to Cooper? How on earth did they get to Aram? Those are classified files. So how on earth did they get to that?
I think I do know that trail. Someone said, or I think it was Ressler, early in episode 21. He told Gale when they were having the discussion, when he was like, no, Main Justice did this. And he said, you've seen those, I think it's SCI 7.
Yeah.
He said, you've seen those files. So obviously Gale has gotten a hold of those files. He's been able to see some of them. He's gotten clearance to see some of them, which is interesting, by the way. Go into that later. But he has seen some of those files. Ergo, he has seen, it's possible that he's seen the Architect's file where they ran across Janet, or the Thrushes file, where they ran across Janet. He could have run into any of those files in which Janet was highlighted in them. And if he found Janet, he could follow it back to Aram, who followed it back to the task force. It just depends on which files he's gotten a hold of, because we don't know. He could have just as easily run across...
But they're boxes and boxes.
That's what I'm saying. It just depends on which files he's gotten a hold of, because he could have just as easily gotten a hold of the Tom Keene file and tried to subpoena Tom Keene. That would have been funny, wouldn't it?
Oh, he knew. No, my point is, they not only knew the names of task members who are not generally out in the field, whose names would not be precisely known. And somehow, either Kate gave him those names, but that is before he actually gets in touch with Kate.
Yeah,
so there is something about Gale that he has information from other sources other than what it seems, because going after they went after what they perceived to be their weak link.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that he's gotten a hold of all of those files.
But
you said, there are many, many files. But if he got a hold of the right ones, it could have led him to Janet. That could have led him to Aram.
Yeah, but
he hoped would lead him to the rest of the task force. But Janet was the one that let him in. She was the one that let him in.
Or, wait a minute. One of the interesting things is that he has Mako Tanita's body there, right? Remember, we've been talking. I hope they ever tell us what on earth happened to the head, And there it is.
We still don't know where the head is.
No. So I imagine that after he went home, if he still had the head, he'd dispose of it.
Yeah, but where? Rest didn't have the... I mean, what did he do? It's not
Go
like he had
try to up some woods in the middle of nowhere, turn off his hire a car with a GPS and go bury it in the woods. That's simple enough.
Yeah, for anybody else, Mr. Boy Scout, really?
Hey, even Boy Scouts fight for survival.
Season 1 Ressler.
but but my point is, he goes for Mako Tanita. There is nothing. Where on earth? He knows that Mako Tanita relates to Ressler because he found the records of what Mako Tanita killed Audrey, and from there he knew to whom was the head presented.
Yeah, maybe. I think there are probably... It's very open. Once we found out that Gale has access to at least some of the records, that he was given access to some of them, it opens up for the writers to just have a field day with picking and choosing where they need it. It really does. It's a brilliant move on their part because it opens things up in a believable way.
Unless somebody is feeding information to Gale.
Maybe. I mean, he's got multiple routes of information.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, back to the Janet and Aram and Samara and
but they definitely went for the weak link there.
What they thought was the weak link. They thought Aram would be the
which
weak
means that whoever is giving them this information is nobody on the team, because the team would have said, "No way, he wouldn't give us up." So the information they may be getting is from somebody else, or the files, or whatever it is.
Guys, it's not Tom.
No, because
just
Tom would
throw
have
that
known.
out there. Because anytime anything negative happens, it's like you have somebody in the family that goes, "Maybe Tom did it," and you're like, "No."
Oh, I know. I mean, he's the cause of the fire. He's the cause of Liz.
Hey, you know what? There were tornadoes in the Dallas area the night of the finale. I think Tom Keene did it.
Yeah.
Totally
But in this case, Tom wouldn't make any sense either, because Tom is one that knows firsthand that Aram is not one to back off easily.
Yes.
So that's just not flying.
I loved the fact that Janet thought she knew so well how Aram was going to act. She had that. She had something that was going to save her, save Aram. So, she thought she had it planned out. If he just talks, he and I will be fine. And I don't know if she she thought that the task force would be okay, or if just she and he would be okay. I think she would have been totally cool if just he and she walked away and the task force all went to prison.
Yeah,
like as
that
long
was
as
fine.
as long as anybody in her circle was cool, she was cool, because that's the way she is. She doesn't understand because she hasn't gone through a full redemption arc. How can she understand?
Well, plus it's a different. I mean, I'm not sure that Tom will care much for people he doesn't care. But
Tom cares
Janet
because Liz cares.
Yeah, exactly. But it's
Janet has not gotten to that point in her story. Now, it's possible that she would reach that point in her story. Blacklister made a comment on Tumblr. She said, if she ever finds someone she loves, yeah, she could probably have her own redemption arc. Mm-hmm. But for the point of the Blacklist, that was not her purpose. Her purpose was to open it up for Aram. And I've been saying that for a while, that I've been telling all of my Saram friends, all of my Samar friends, all my Aram friends, anybody in that little camp over there, I said, Janet is a means to an end. I said, I like her. I don't hate her because she's not sticking around. She's not ruining our ship. She is a means to the end to open Aram up to see that he and Samar have gotten so burrowed down this season, especially in the second half of the season, so angry at each other. They have just built the walls up and up and up. Every new thing that pops up, instead of opening up to each other, they've just built the walls a little higher and gotten a little more irritated. And Samar, I totally get that, because she is having an incredibly difficult life. She comes from an intelligence background. She's very untrusting because of that. Totally get that. And that is why I love that she is the one that took that step in this episode. She took the step and she went in. She was planning to just out Janet and have her day and be like, see, I told you she was a bitch. Walks in and Aram makes a comment about he wouldn't know what to do without Janet because she had been his rock through all of this. And Samar makes the utterly selfless move to keep the information to herself. And I don't think the moment that he realizes, because you can just see it in his face as it clicks with him.
Oh, it was a beautiful moment.
It was. And he has this moment where you can just see it, and he goes, oh my god, she could have just taken that and rubbed it in my face, and yet she took my feelings into it. I have been so wrong. And I know I've heard people make the comments that they have a lot to discuss, and yeah, they can do that. That's fine. That's next season. They can go on their dates and have the discussion. The key is their discussions.
Just don't make it a soap opera.
Yeah.
That's good for me. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't need to see it.
Don't make this too dramatic, guys. And that's what I said about the fight between them. When they were at each other's throat, I was cool with them just being apart and being irritated at each other. I still loved the characters individually. It's when they got so catty with each other. It was like...
I actually liked it. It made sense.
Oh, not the cattiness. The cattiness was over the top. I was not a fan. Because the thing is, when you have someone, like when it was Liz and Tom, Liz is the main character, and so you had enough screen time to be able to work through those issues. You had the depth there. With Samar and Aram, it just, at least to me, it felt like...
But we've had a lot of episodes center on them this season. We've seen a lot of the characters. I was fine with it. But the most interesting thing that happened with them was that moment when he walks in and Cooper is just having nice to see you back, and he has just realized, and he could have probably gone home, but he came back to tell Samar that he knew what she's done, and that to him is when I think when he realizes that there is a lot more than Samar,
yes.
and that because I think Samar is an imposing woman.
Yes, she is incredibly intimidating. I would be intimidated by Samar if I walked up and met her. She's intense. Because she's not only just a total badass, but
she's intense.
Yeah.
He told her that you're intense, and I feel what's going to happen to me. And I think that was the moment, as we are seeing Red, the real man underneath the mask. We had a couple of moments when we saw the real Samar under the mask, and Samar is in many ways like Red, even when she's hurt. It reminded Samar had a couple of moments this season that were very interesting, very, very Red-like. There was one in which she's worried about something, but at the same time, she's saying there's something wrong with this situation. And she's the one who keeps watching out for Janet, and that's how they find out what's going on. And that was a very much a Red move that so much that it reminded me when in the wedding in 317, when Red says, Dembe is like, oh, I'm sure she didn't mean it. And Red is somewhere in another space. He's still protecting Liz. He's still thinking ahead what's going to happen. So this scene to me was like, I'll go back to that. Is like you've seen Samar do a step back and think of the situation in its entirety, and that is a thing that made her human, and that I think is when Aram realizes of her depths.
Yeah, I definitely agree that. I mean, it's seeing the layers. It's the same thing that makes us fall in love with the characters as viewers, and I just that moment, because I was telling another fan, if anybody follows Whimsy and something over on Tumblr, she's fantastic. If you don't follow her, do it. But I was telling her, I said I was a little scared with everything that they had done with Saram, that by the time they got around to fixing it, I wouldn't be okay with it. Because they just done so much damage, and I don't like it when writers damage, and then, oh, look, here's a magical fix-it-all, for characters. I don't like that. I'm like, no, you gotta build them back up. If you're gonna shatter them, build them back up, slowly, carefully. I actually liked this. They found a way that they could do it, and there's still a lot of work to be done there, but that...
They can do it off camera.
Yeah, and that's fine. The Keens had a lot of stuff off camera, but they found ways to comment and say it to know that it was being done off camera.
Yeah.
And they can do that with Saram. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Sam on camera.
But Samar also has very nice moments on her own, because
she's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, did you like the moments when she's with Liz in the car and they got Dixon? And they're like, yeah, we're not going to take you. Oh,
I love Liz and Samara as team.
I know.
I love the Liz and Ressler team, but I'm really fond of Samara and Liz. I'm like, these badass women. These badass women, let them take over the world, please.
Yeah, I enjoyed that scene enormously whenever Liz and Samara are working together, I find myself like, yay, because they kind of bring the best out of each other.
They do.
Or the most badass out of each other.
Yeah, and I feel like Samara sometimes underestimates Liz. And then
the
she's
pink and you want to pink and perfect on me?
Yeah, and I think she does. And then she's like, oh, I was wrong. That's good.
Yeah. I love those moments, and I think that both characters, individually, Aram and Samar, besides their scenes together, they really have both beautiful, beautiful moments in this. The actors did horrific.
Completely agree.
These two episodes were thoroughly, and I know that word is being thrown and used to the point of, it was pretty epic. It was one of those moments. It was built up throughout the season to be a season finale that was great, basically just reset the whole thing.
It was really nice. Yes. Okay, so going into Ressler,
Ressler, Gale, and Kate, because but Ressler and Gale and Hitchens were all intertwined, and it was beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Maybe Kate, Liz, and Red for the second round. And so, because those three kind of go in together.
Yeah, Ressler, Hitchens, and Gale, oh my God.
Okay, so like most of you that have listened to us for a while or that follow my blog or anything like that know that I adore Ressler. Like I am a huge Tesla bromance shipper, or well, bro shipper. There it is. I do not ship them romantically. I bro ship them. There are people apparently that ship Tom and Ressler romantically. I've run into a couple of people that do.
There's so much weirdness.
I personally have never seen it. I feel like I stretch it a little for the bromance. But I'm okay for that. Tess is making a face right now. I think she rolls her eyes a little bit at my Tesla bit, but
I like them together. I actually think that some of Ressler's best scenes have been with Tom.
I blame Diego and Ryan for the Tesla broship. I really do, because they have some fantastic stuff behind the scenes in which apparently those two actors get along wonderfully. And I love them for it. And they are actually the reasons that I started bro shipping Tom and Ressler as hard as I do. I want that friendship because honestly, Tom needs someone that won't shoot at him.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. Ressler, however, may be ready to and I as soon as I there was a picture going around of him having a photo shoot. And this photo shoot happened in that gray, it's like cement hallway, like kind of inclined. Mm-hmm. And everybody else but him had a picture taken in that hallway in season 3, and he was only in this other picture where it was like just basically a gray backdrop. There was nothing in it, just that. And once I saw him going in there and I was seeing the way that the Hitchens relationship thing was going, I knew that this was going to end up with gray, with Ressler in the gray and Ressler with a picture taken in that corridor, meaning that he's now in the deep gray.
Yeah. So the night of the episode, it was so funny because I'm sitting there and the roomie and I watch it. It's a household thing. We get together on Thursday nights, Wednesday nights next year, which is weird because I came in after we moved to Thursday night, so I never was on the Monday night run.
It was great.
Yeah, I never watched it on Monday nights. It already gotten moved to Thursday nights when I came in, so I am only a Thursday night person. It's always been Thursday nights with Blacklist. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna have some trouble with the Wednesday night thing. Love the fact it's earlier because that means I'll actually get to sleep at a decent hour. So I'm always so wired after the episodes. But anyway, we were sitting there, and when Hitchens said, no, I want the Boy Scout to give me his word because Boy Scouts don't give up their merit badges easily. I sat there and I'm yelling at the TV and I'm like, no, Ress, stick your toe into the gray. It's fine. Come see us in the gray. Lie to the woman. And I think I put something up on Tumblr about it. And then a few scenes later, when she died, I was like, not that deep into the gray, Ressler.
Oh, I knew he was going in.
I actually didn't. I thought it would be resolved next season. I thought that something like this would happen next season. I did not expect her to die at the end of this episode.
I gotta say, I didn't see that particular coming, but I gotta say, I loved it. I truly loved it.
I had such mixed feelings about it. You go first, and then I'll express mine.
I gotta mention before we go in there, I'm gonna mention some things that I think are worthy. First, Diego Klavinhoff did a phenomenal job.
So much.
His scenes with Red, with as Frank Sturgeon, and and with Hitchens and Gale were absolutely terrific. I'm glad that he got a nice meaty part and that he did a great, wonderful job with them. So that was, kudos to the actor. Then the one thing that stuck to my head is Ressler has had his first alias to do illegal things. He's now Frank Sturgeon. But the one thing that I was very glad that Red did, for first, the Frank Sturgeon. So we had Ressler set up with his first fake identity in which he had actually now committed a crime.
Well, okay, that's fair. I was gonna say it's definitely not his first fake identity. And that's
No,
not
not
entirely
undercover,
true.
not going undercover, but a fake identity. Like he was Frank Sturgeon calling the cleaner to come and do something about the body.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yes. I mean, because he hadn't really committed a crime outside of the
Disposing of a body after it wasn't
wow.
it wasn't probably criminal. It was just at the best probably would have been manslaughter. But
Where?
when he killed Hitchens, it would have been
No. That yes, that. I'm talking about before. I'm trying to think.
Well, he's been undercover, but
yeah,
undercover
it's all been
in the
undercover
job is a very different thing than an identity under which he obtained is sort of illegally and hiding the source of this evidence in order to procure the bullet and keep it himself so that he could trade it. And I love the fact that Red gave the bullet to Ressler, and that was a moment of, it's one of those little details that in the Blacklist just speak a lot. Red didn't keep the bullet, and that bullet was writing everything.
Well,
he gave it to Ressler. It was a respect thing.
Well, I agree with that, but he actually gave Revan Wright over to Ressler, whom he took to the mortician who pulled the bullet out and gave it to Ressler. But I do see it very much as Red takes these people who are at a tipping point and lets them make their own decision. When Liz was standing over Tom, and Tom's, been shot 3 times, not going anywhere on his own, and Red has a bullet, has a gun to his head, Liz says, "Stop, I'll handle it." And Red let her. It was her decision. It was her call what happened. He left. Mm-hmm. Same way in which he leaves it in Ressler's hands if he wants to go the direction of using that bullet to save his friends, or if he wants to continue on
the justice.
And which, by the way, I need to put it out there. The fact that he, as much as it pained him, as much as I'm sure he felt like he had failed Revan Wright, and I'm sure he did, because he is a truly decent guy. He is. I think that he felt like he failed Revan, but he was willing to do that and to put up with that weight on his own soul to save his team. That loyalty is something that he didn't used to have. When Liz first came in, and he's developed it over this isn't the first sign of it, certainly. But this is an extreme, that it's a new step that he's taken. And I've been talking to a few. I put out a post on Tumblr asking for Ressler fans to weigh in on the whole situation, because I truly wanted a response, and I've had some very differing opinions on it, and they're all valid opinions. They're all fantastic opinions. It's very much an interesting viewpoint on what happened, but I was going somewhere with that. Oh my gosh.
I think that where you were going, it was a nice there was a good way they did this choice that he has to make, and I think that when you go into theories, I mean you're taking now, you were talking about the character perspective, what it meant for him to have to make that decision between two things is his team, whom he makes the point to Gale that we're doing a great job. We're putting away criminals. These were not victims. These were perpetrators. These were all criminals, people doing illegal things, people killing each other. I mean, are you going to cry over Mako Tanita? Are you going to cry over Berlin?
I mean, Mako Tanita, that destroyed not just other human beings with, I believe it was a drug trade that he was involved in, but he destroyed the Reddington task force that Gale worked with. He went after and slaughtered them. He forced them into committing seppuku, which is one of the most painful sort of deaths of disembowelment.
Yeah, and he threatened to go after their families if they didn't do it.
I mean,
So we're
yeah.
talking, I mean, this is a very, very interesting point,
Very
and I
necessary.
am glad that instead of going for some soapy storyline for Ressler, they went with something that has real meat and fodder for theories here. Because what I'm seeing it from a purely theoretical point, just the theories of the blacklist, is that when they did this, they put Ressler in a position very much Red-like. The Ressler had never understood what intelligence really mean. Not intelligence and the mental intelligence as opposed to police work,
Spy work.
espionage.
Yeah.
And I think that this had given him in a personal, painful way and deep understanding of what it means, what it is that spies do. What is the difference between the cop and intelligence? The cop doesn't have that choice. The cop has the law, and the law says that if you commit a crime, you have to pay for it, regardless of who the victim is. The intelligence espionage spies know that sometimes you gotta let a little crime go in order to get the big criminal, in order to do things. And basically the way they work around is like, it's what I always say, a spy is a criminal working for their countries.
Yes.
Everything they do is illegal. It's in a way, if you look at the things in black and white, it's immoral. And I think that part of what draws me to the blacklist is I've always been very fond of spies and intelligence and espionage because of it. And I think what it does, what it has done is it created the human face to the people who make choices that are daunting every day in order to keep us all safe. And in doing that, they really dance on a blade.
What was it that Aram said as they were dragging him out of the courtroom? He said, put us on trial. We'll talk about choices that we have to make. We'll talk about what's done to make us safer. I mean, he was shouting. He said, you want to write something down, you write that down. And he was making a very valid point that they make dangerous, hard choices. These are not
every
easy
day.
Choices that they make.
And listen, the same thing.
Was it Red that said that one time, that the morality that...
Yeah, that was one of my favorite speeches. The people, there's zealots that choose one thing, one side, and they stick to them. But it takes valor or to every day
courage.
They had
Was
this
it courage
to make each day the decision what's right for that day, for that situation. And I think that in Liz said the same thing. You know, when they started the Reddington Task Force in Quantico, we will be in a panel discussing the pros and the cons. But for now, let's get through. But my point was, by choosing to make this into Ressler storyline, they really have come to a circle with Red that started in Anslo Garrick and continued through Mako Tanida. Red tells Ressler that he was in a point like him and he embarked in a revenge mission. And Red gives him the head of Mako Tanida. It wasn't to silence Ressler, which is what Gale doesn't get at all. It wasn't a gift or it wasn't a payback.
It was understanding.
Red was saving Ressler from becoming the criminal. He was saving his innocence very much as if he did for Liz.
Yes.
Saving that innocence, saving the Boy Scout.
I think that Red has, kind of like I was talking about earlier, that Red and Cooper have a strange sort of respect for each other, in which doesn't always come across as respect because of the way they speak to each other. I think that Red has a strange, odd sort of respect for Ressler, and the fact that he sees this man who is, yes, he sees him as naive, yes, he sees him as irritating sometimes because he gets in the way of what he's done, but I think in a way Red looks at him and goes, this is what could have been. Like he misses that ability, that ability to look in black and white. Like, he can't in his world.
Okay, I disagree there. I don't think that Red ever had it in him. In fact, he said, I wish I could have been a Boy Scout. I romanticized outlaw.
That's what I mean by it. Yeah. I mean, something that he wished that it would have been.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was reading he was like that. No, I don't think he was. I think that Red has always
I think he might have been more like that at one time. Probably not 100%, though. Not nearly to the degree Ressler was.
No, he always said that he was a criminally inclined because he went for espionage. Most people who go there is because they already have the tendencies and they choose to use them for a good cause. Yeah. We tend to think of people who keep us safe for being good, but if you really think about what they do, they lie, they extort, they seduce, they press, they do all kind of illegal things in order to obtain information. Yeah. And that information keep us safe in the choices that these people make, like the choice Ressler had to make. If the
people saw what they did, they'd never be able to wrap their minds around it.
Yeah. And that is exactly what they did. They put Ressler in that peculiar situation. It is the numbers. I see. You were talking last podcast about the numbers. It's about the numbers. Mm-hmm. The numbers make a difference. How many people they have put away? How many people have been saved because of the work they do? And that none of the people that Red has killed, with a few exceptions, I could probably point out a few that really were not criminals and probably shouldn't have died, but in their vast majority, none of them were outstanding citizens. I mean, come on, Diane Fowler, she was in the cabal's pocket.
Yeah.
She was, she actually gave the plans, found a way to give the plans to authorize a deadly incursion into the post office that left many innocent FBI forces dead.
Injured, etc., etc. It could have killed Ressler. Could have killed many people. Did kill Lily. I mean, she died from it.
And they kill a bunch of the guards as they come in. They were like dead people. Those are FBI officers as well. All over there was a trail of dead people.
Yep.
And so Fitch was complicit in all that. He ordered that incursion. So there is not a single person in there that you cannot say, you know what, it was jail or that. And maybe in this world that is not the worst thing to happen, but they gave Ressler that choice, and that choice took away his innocence.
Yeah.
And once he was out of the innocence, then we get to that very famous moment with Hitchens, in which he, and I think we then go into Ressler and Gale, because that was very interesting in Gale Hitchens.
Well, I was going to say that the Hitchen thing.
I don't know. I mean, we could discuss this until the cows come
home. Well, I was going to say, I said, you say your piece, and then I was going to say mine, because I think we have very different perspectives we come at from it. Mm-hmm. Because I am very much, I mean, I'm not saying you're not a Ressler fan. You tend to be more of a practical approach to everybody, and I have a very emotional approach to people. I mean, I'm a shipper, I'm a character analysis. That tends to be a much more emotional approach to the characters. I'm okay admitting that. It's just a different approach, and it's fun to have different approaches. If we both agreed on everything, it'd be a very boring podcast.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, no, doesn't go anywhere.
So, I mean, that's half the fun of discussing and debating back and forth. With Ressler, I found the whole thing with Hitchen. I knew it was coming to a point. I've been telling my fellow Ressler fans, I said, guys, I know you feel like he hasn't had a great deal of storyline. I know that in 3B they felt like he really got shoved to the background. But
he was all over the 3A.
I know. But I'm just saying that I kept telling everybody, I said, there's something coming with Hitchen. There's something coming with Hitchen. You've just got to be patient. this is how the writers do it. They bring certain storylines forward. I said, his is coming, you've just got to breathe. And it's easier to say that when they're not your very favorite. Your very favorite characters, always, you want to see more and more and more and more. I have witnessed this in the last spiel of 4 when Ryan's filming schedule did not line up with the Blacklist because of Redemption. And I'm sitting there going, I miss Tom. I know that you can't have him on there because he was busy filming Redemption while you were filming these episodes, but you should have found a way. So, like, I understand that, you know, when the logical side says this does not add up on the storytelling line, and the emotional side says, but I want my favorite here. Anyway, but Ressler, I've been waiting for this storyline in some form or fashion to come forward. And when Revan's body came out of that barrel, I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh. It was like a kick to the gut. I'm just going, we have Revan. And
we have a date.
Yeah, we have that.
We have a date.
I love dates.
Which puts that makes so much sense.
I feel very much like Gale. I love dates. You know? I made a gif of that and I said, I too love dates. And so when
they pulled that head, it was beautiful.
It was. And then they take the bullet out, and just Ressler being willing to give up everything for this. And I've had a lot of discussions with people over on Tumblr, and like I was saying earlier, total respect for the various, and I was telling someone today, the day that we're recording this, I said, I asked for opinions. I said, honestly, I said, some I agree with, some I don't. I said, but I asked for opinions. I said, I love all the different opinions. It's been fantastic. You know, some people think that he meant to hit her. Some people think that he didn't. Right now, after watching slowed down GIFs, because I have really studied the scene, because it really hit me hard, because Ressler has been portrayed as a man that is very traditionally solid. He doesn't agree. I don't care if she's a woman. I've seen various conversations about if it matters if she's a woman, if it doesn't, if it matters if she has a place of power, if that trumps the fact she's a woman. I've seen so many conversations. It comes down to, in my opinion, he was in a place. It was. I do not think he meant to kill her. I'm not even sure he. Yes and no that he meant to hit her. I think it was a reaction.
It was an irrelevant thing. He was coming. He was in there, and he was in tremendous turmoil.
Yes,
and she is mocking, and it almost felt like she meant to say, well, you're gonna do anything I want, and it almost felt like he was gonna say, well, right now you're gonna kiss me. And it almost had a little like comeuppance to her.
She said, I want you to know your place in this marriage. And just the way she was coming at him. And
it was a provocation.
It was. And then she grabbed him, and she wouldn't give his badge
ID
over.
back.
She grabbed him, and just like, I'm sorry, like gender doesn't matter in that situation. I don't think, like, for me as a fan, it bothered me because of the way, it bothered me in the fact that I thought that the writers made a very specific choice in that, and so not bothered me in the fact that I think less of Ressler, but makes me wonder why they chose that. Like, I'm kind of curious why he didn't pull his gun on her.
I don't think that, because pulling the gun would have been a very different choice, and it would have been a choice in which that. Okay, bad things happen to good people. It's something that Red tells Liz. And I think that had they pull a gun, that's a very different situation. That is the Liz kind of situation where she pulled a gun to defend this. This is a man who was already troubled. And to me, I honestly couldn't care less whether he meant to just, get free of her, meant to swing back at her, meant to just simply push her away from him. It doesn't really make any difference, because to me what it felt like is she was taunting him, and he reacted in anger, in anger and exasperation and intense emotional pain.
Yes.
And the end result of that, which to me was an accident, it was not that he was meaning to hit her and kill her. It was just he was meaning to get away from her.
Exactly. Like, I've had a lot of trouble wording it correctly, and I do fully agree with that. And I think that it's from a fan point of view and from Ressler's point of view are going to be very different. From a fan point of view, looking at the Boy Scout, looking at the man that we've come to know over the last 4 seasons, that is key. Exactly what you just said is absolutely key. For us as fans, we need to know that. For him, I think it probably happened so fast that Ressler isn't even sure of what he was thinking, what he was feeling, if it was intentional, if it wasn't.
I think he wanted to. It's a moments where you don't really know what you're doing. You just want out of there. You want that person to let go of you, and that is a typical situation that can evolve into a terrible accident, which is what happened.
Yes.
Whether he was meaning to just get out, push her back and, putting his hands on a woman, or whether he meant to just get free from her grabbing him, whatever it was, it really was an emotional reaction in a moment of what was really intense emotional pain for him.
But he never meant to kill her. But I do think, and what I was trying to say was that it's, for us as fans, coming to that conclusion, I think, is one thing. But Ressler, because of the situation, because it happened so fast in such an emotionally heavy situation, I doubt he even knows what he wanted and what he was trying to do. And so
but why did he call the cleaner?
And so the fact that he called the cleaner means that he feels guilty. And whether he should or not, I personally don't think he should feel guilty over that. I love Ressler.
You think it's guilt?
I think he's trying to cover it up.
Oh, yeah. We agree there. He's trying to cover it up, but why is he trying to cover it up?
People cover up things that they feel guilty about.
No, they cover things up because they realize that the truth doesn't matter. It's a perception of truth.
And that's a possibility as well, but I don't think he's thinking clearly like that right now.
I think that he did.
I think that Ressler is a, like I've said multiple times, and I keep repeating this because Liz has. Because it's been a recent episode in which Liz has said this, that he is a good man. There was a reason that whole speech came up. It wasn't just a, yay, let's pat Russ on the back. There was a purpose to Liz's speech the other day about him being the embodiment of what an FBI agent should be. She was making a point. Mm-hmm. And the fact that this happened, I think that Ressler feels so shaken by it. He doesn't know what to do. I don't know if he called Red or if he called the cleaner. I don't know which one he called. He may have called Red and gone, I don't know what to do. And Red said, let me handle this for you. Stay put. And then brought the cleaner in. Because someone made the comment on Tumblr, said, how did he pay for a cleaner? That's expensive. I mean, I don't know. I've never killed anybody and had to have someone clean it, so I don't know what those go for. I'm sure there are people that do that, but I wouldn't know how to contact them. But I can only imagine how expensive they are,
Yeah. Well, you come at it from that point of view. I come at it from the point of view of he had just given up the quest for, which wasn't really so much justice as basically became to a revenge, because in Reverend Wright he was actually just enacting his father's killer go free and all this. And in that moment when he had done that, Ressler had stepped into the gray. He had stepped into the world that Red lives in. And he had, and this time, faced with this, I think that Ressler, an intelligent man, realized that it doesn't matter what the thing is what it's going to look like. And at that point, he realized there is no evidence in this scene that says that something bad didn't happen here, that I didn't do this on purpose. And I think that at that moment, knowing the implications of Hitchens and that she's Cabal, there is only one way to go ahead with this, and that it is to continue to salvage. Because he's also, there is not just now we're not talking about simply Red being the bad guy. Ressler has now completed a transition from the FBI goody guy who wouldn't complete an assassination because I'm sure he didn't miss. He's noted for marksmanship on Red and Brussels in 2008. He is now fully in the gray, having understood the consequences of law and how sometimes they just don't serve the purpose they should. And this kind of world is necessary. And now you got the next agent coming in full of hatred for Red, whose obsession with Red had caught up and had become a rage in which is willing to destroy everything, including a friend, for it, in which anybody who collaborates with Red becomes instantly a criminal. So that's what I come from it from Gale, and I think Gale waits on the situation. So Ressler is no longer able to make a decision without considering that they have a bulldog on their trail.
And that's a good possibility. That's a very, very good and valid way to come at it. Because you're right, they do. A bulldog is a very good way to put it.
Yeah. He has a bone, and he's not going to let go.
No, he's not, which is interesting. I have such... Let's move into Gale a little bit. Something that I noticed that I thought of was that you see a bit of a parallel with the task force working with Red, and on a smaller scale, Gale working with Kate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that could have gone on. That could have gone on for a long time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying writers please drag things out because
no, they can't.
I at least know from the online viewership, we're not a fan of things getting dragged out. But it could have theoretically, it could have gone on for ages in which Gale and Kate were working together. I mean, they worked together several episodes, even if they hadn't spoken, because she delivered the bodies to him. And so you had that, and I'm still to this moment trying to find out, and how is that any different? Because he handed her immunity for handing him Raymond Reddington. Raymond Reddington had immunity for handing them blacklisters, for handing the FBI blacklisters. So, I mean, there is nothing to say that Kate wouldn't have gone on and done illegal things, because she did illegal things in order to bring Red down.
Yeah, she killed a lot of innocent people, including the guy who lost the eye.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there going, you're a little focused there, sweetheart,
It's
fascinating to me with Gale that he is so focused on Red, and that makes me think it's intensely personal. For his aim at Red, because Ressler was able to step back, because I remember in Ansel Garrick, and I love the Ansel Garrick. I feel like that's a fandom-wide thing, that the Ansel Garrick episodes were like fan favorites. I love them. Hang on, give me 2 seconds. I'll recapture that thought. God, we're gonna have to wrap.
You were talking about how the how Ressler was able to say, how did you do it? How do you turn back?
Thank you. And so you had Ressler in the Ansel Garrick episodes that said, because Red made the comment, he said, you hate me, but you're trying to save my life. And he said, yeah, I may hate you, but my job is to save your life. And
then the opposite happened in that episode, which is funny. Ressler says...
But the point is that it was Ressler's job to save his life. So Ressler was able to put aside his personal feelings about it and do the right thing. The job and do the right thing. Gale is not. Yes, they are saving tons of lives this way, but Gale is not able to see that. All he sees is Red and his evil. He sees the glass half empty, not half full. And so that makes me believe, because Gale's not stupid. Gale is incredibly incredibly intelligent, maybe a little crazy, maybe tilted off of that, fine line between brilliance and insanity somewhere along the way. But he is incredibly intelligent, and so there has to be something that tilted him off into the crazy land in which he is, barking at Red's heels.
He's terrific, because he's just one little step ahead. If the day that he crosses into the gray, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I love that scene of Gale with Red in the car.
Oh my gosh, those two were amazing. I need more of that. I think that they've signed him as a season regular for 5.
I think so. I think because at this point they only have 2 things with him. They can.
Enrique made the comment on Tumblr that he was going to be around for season 5, so I know he's going to be around at least for a little bit. And so
no, I think they when they brought him on, I think they were bringing him on as a regular.
I hope so. I hope he stays. Yeah. I hope they eventually work him into the task force, because
I think that's the point. At this point, they got no other choice. Jen, what are they going to do? They gotta sign him on the task force. He knows.
He knows
so
too
now
much.
There's exactly. So there's
Join
only
us or
2
die.
things, and he's not the kind that he's gonna be like. What was that woman's name? I think it was Janet too. Janet McNamara. This is not a cabin in California, and you're gonna go and just stay safe. Gale got nothing to get a handle on him. So either you bring him on or you kill him.
Yeah, it's gonna be one or the other, and I hope that they eventually find a way to bring him on, because while I'm irritated with him, because I'm like, I've got such mixed emotions about Gale, because I'm like, stop going after my task force, I will end you. Then the other part of me goes, but I love you because you're so freaking quirky.
I love because he gets in Red's head. I mean, he knows what Red is doing, the things he's doing.
Have you noticed that he has very similar body language as Red? James has... I don't know if it's a James Spader. I know this is going to make me a terrible Blacklist fan, but this is only the second thing I've seen James Spader in, the other being Stargate. I'm probably going to get sad faces for that. But anyway, regardless, no, that's not true. He did the voice for Ultron in the Avengers. And Ultra, if anything, because usually they go off of the actor for it, he did a lot of head bobbling. So I think that the head bobbling thing is a James Spader thing. I'm going to go on a limb there and say that. And so, but Gale does a lot of head bobbling. And so I don't know if that's an intentional move on the actor's point or if it's just a similar acting bit.
Yeah. Okay, where are you going with this?
I'm just saying it's interesting that they have very similar body language when they speak. A lack of personal space sometimes, and some head bobbling, and just the way they speak. I don't know. I'm just saying there's some interesting points there. Either Gale has been studying Red too long, or they share some underlying personality
Daddy,
traits.
I found you.
No, I'm not saying they're related. Oh my gosh. We have a new theory, everybody. New Daddygate theory. Gale is really Red's son.
Hey, I don't know.
Gale and Liz are actually siblings. Who knew?
Well, we've said that the Blacklist is just a huge family drama.
Oh my gosh! Insert new crazy family theory here.
So what I love the fact, and I gotta say, kudos to the writers and creators, because what they have done is nothing short of brilliant with Gale and Hitchens and Ressler. Because look at this, you get Red and Ressler use Reverend Wright to create. So basically, a problem that Reverend that Ressler created is now solved and handed it as a weapon to use to convince Hitchens to help them. Hitchens threatens Gale. So what's going to happen? She threatens Gale in a very public manner. Gale goes at her. Now,
that was brilliant. I loved that.
And look what is going to happen. Now she either disappears or appears dead, because sometimes she doesn't disappear. With the guy, when he opens that he takes a woman who have killed her husband accidentally and he just push him off a balcony and then mask the things like that, almost like a little bit of shades of Ray Donovan. So what happens is what people are gonna believe is that Gale killed her.
I hadn't even thought about that. That's
Yes,
brilliant.
it's brilliant.
Tessa, I think we found your new calling. Covering up murders. It was so funny while we were watching it. I'm sitting there and I went, oh my gosh, writers would be excellent at this. And the roomie looks at me like, don't say these things. Not out loud. I said, I'm not saying that I've got my new calling. Oh my god, I'm not going to go cover up murders. I'm just saying that writers would be really good at it.
And I would not be surprised if what happens is that Red gets hold of something that can get Gale involved in this, like a piece of evidence planted there or whatever. So now Gale has two choices: work with them or work with them.
Work with them or go to prison for a murder he didn't commit. Yep.
Exactly. So
I like that.
I love the way that they created this thing, that it was that you're getting almost like it's like parallel mirrors. It's like mirroring situations, but the mirror is every time the mirror is a little slanted, so you don't get an exact image. You get a little bit, and then the next one is a little slanted. Before you know it, you've gone for a circle. It's brilliant. It's brilliant writing. I mean, after these two episodes, if I was before I loved the writers, now I'm like in all of them. They picked up so many little things going on from all these dangling ends they've been leaving.
They have. And that's what I keep telling people. I'm like, listen, I used to be one of those people that harped and harped and harped on continuity. And now all I'm saying is patience. Have patience. They know what they're doing. And I'm not wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not being the egotist here. They are just that good. I'm just saying, I finally clued in. And eventually others will as well. It's great. And a lot of people have. So something interesting that caught my attention, because you and I have talked a lot about parallels and reoccurring things. And when something's reoccurring multiple times, key in. And this may or may not be anything, but it's something that I keyed in on. Season 2, Tom mentioned Cape Town to Bud, in which something happened in Cape Town to make Tom think that Bud would never betray him.
So he saved his life.
Yeah, that's the understanding. That's my assumption anyway. I mean, and we have to be careful about assumptions because assumptions sometimes get blown out of the it's the blacklist. They get blown out of the water. But something happened in Cape Town between Tom and the Major that made Tom believe the Major would never turn on him, no matter what he did. That was big enough. And so that's, saving his life is probably a fair assumption. Cape Town was mentioned. Now, South Africa has been mentioned before by Red. I don't think it was Cape Town, but it was South Africa.
I am looking for those.
But
the Mombasa cartel had a shell company in South Africa. A man in Johannesburg put a 40 million bounty on Red's head. One of Crispin Crandall victims vanishes in Johannesburg. Jacob Phelps did something with a major in Cape Town. And Harold, in Redemption, told Tom that he had found Whitehall as a line item, a warehouse in a remote area. Huh?
Howard, not Harold.
Oh, yes, Harold. Yes.
I do that far too often.
Yeah. So those are being the mentions of Cape Town. And it's very, very interesting because...
but now you can add to that, Red and Gale ran across each other in Cape Town because Red was doling out all the places they had met up and where was the last place he saw him, and Cape Town was mentioned. I have no idea if they're linked. They may just be names that they threw out there. I have a habit
also London and Ho Chi Minh City.
Yes.
In London, he has a thing with MI6.
Yeah. But I have a thing as a writer. I use certain cities that I'm fond of, foreign cities that I'm fond of that I go back to. You always hear me talk about Salzburg, Vienna, London, Paris, etc., that I tend to go back to in my writing when I'm writing fan fiction stuff. When I need a foreign city, I grab one that I've been to, that I love. That may be what it is. Yeah, because if you've been there, then you have at least a little bit of an understanding of it.
Sense.
It may be that the Johns have been there, or whoever, are writing the episode at the time has been there. But I still think it's worth pinning in your mind the fact that Red mentioned Cape Town.
Yeah, and for those who are interested in the geography, in my blog, I do have a tab that is geography clues, and I, at the end of each season, I tend to update it. So it's updated right now up to season 3, but it has basically all the clues by country, and they are pretty much giving a picture. So I think that they may be more than just cities that they like.
Yeah, it's a good possibility. I just wanted to throw that out there. Because as a writer, I'm not nearly on their level, but there is very vague things that I can at least acknowledge that as a writer, this is what I do. It's a possibility. That's the route they take. Sometimes I feel like we look for clues where they possibly aren't, but other times I feel like everything may be a clue.
I think
depends on the day. It really depends on the day. If I feel like everything's a clue, or maybe nothing means anything, and I'm just going back to bed.
Well, where we are at it, one thing that is very interesting in here is the beautiful nod to Glengarry Glen Rose that they did with the salesman and the knives. It was great. I love when they do those nods. That scene when Red comes in and there's the car salesman and he just, grabs the knife and says, you keep to keep your fingers. It was great.
I have no idea what that is. So.
Oh, it's a very good movie.
Okay. That's... Like I was telling Tessa before we actually started recording, I said I'm a little like Tom when it comes to pop culture. I either know it or I don't. There's a lot that it goes straight over my head, and I go, wait, what? People will quote a movie and I'm going, what? But if it's something I've seen, if it's something I love, I know it in depth. And so I'm 100% one way or the other typically. So are we wrapped up on Gale? Is that about the end for Gale?
I think so.
All right, then let's cut it here. This is a very long podcast because there was so much information for the finale. We don't want to cut it short, and so we're going to go ahead and split this into 2. We didn't know for sure if we were when we started, but as we get deeper into it, it seems like it's better to cut it into 2 for time's sake. So we'll go ahead. I'll get this edited down. Hopefully it'll be up on Sunday. That's fingers crossed that we can get this up on Sunday because of time scheduling and such, we had to record later than we usually do. But we'll try to get up on Sunday, Monday at the latest, and then we'll have the second part edited down and up next Friday or Saturday. Will be the goal. But we'll cover Kate, Liz, and Red kind of in unison on that second round, because there's just so much there, and honestly, if we were to cover them in the same one, we'd probably be here for 3 hours. And Tessa and I can talk, but so we hope to see you next time. We will be on for an extra week now, apparently, so we can cover this. You can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. And feel free to leave us comments.
Yeah, and do tune up for the next part where we are going to cover the 3 major players of this episode.
Yeah, because, while the ones we've covered so far are huge in it, Kate, Liz, and Red are where it's at right now. That was the finale. Kate, Liz, and Red. And so...
And another one that ends up with a father revelation, as all the previous ones.
Yeah. And so you can leave us a comment on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Tumblr. We love to hear back from you guys. If you have anything you'd specifically like us to cover with Kate, Liz, and Red, just let us know. We're happy to poke at it. And so we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Until the next time.
Till next week. Bye-bye.